Hello everybody, and welcome to the LJL officially unofficial cast. I am your host, as always, Alex, otherwise known as Lexi, and I go by Mars Swan on the internet. Of course, I am joined by the Hapgood brothers, my color commentator, and my play-by-play caster, switching it up again. Initialize and Nymera, please introduce yourselves.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm Sam Initialize Hapgood, and we just saw a pretty good game of League of Legends.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. The Hawks coming out on the worst end of that, losing the first game of our coverage today. But you know, they're coming into this game 2 now against Burning Core and looking to pick up a win to, just keep them topped up on the standings.
Yeah, 100%. This matchup is going to be Burning Core versus the Fukuoka Hawks. Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming.
There you go.
Oh, so many
it's a long
words.
Name, in fact. It's a very long name.
So many words in such a short space of time. This is definitely an interesting matchup from kind of a perspective point of view. There's a lot of games here and kind of things happening here for both teams. Obviously, Fukuoka just came off of a loss to DFM, and DFM look like they're kind of in their stride now and are very strong. And obviously SoftBank were poised to be maybe one of the few teams that could potentially take a game from them. Whereas Burning Core are one of our few teams still on that 1-3 standing, and they're the only team that still has games to play for in that 1-3 standing. And it's kind of gonna be a big question if they can actually pick that up and really kind of move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that in week 1, Rayfarki had a fantastic showing, as did Once and Proud, the jungle and support, and of course the top laner Rayfarki as well for Burning Core. Then week 2, they had a very back and forth game against Crest Gaming Act, but it was still a decisive loss to the carry performances of Adia and Gango on that team. So this week, really, it's about kind of returning to Rayfarki's dominant ways in that top lane, and maybe picking a bit less Darius, or at least setting up well for that pick.
Yeah, and that was kind of our issue, right? In the first Darius game, so the first game for Burning Core last week, or rather, earlier this week, rather.
Well, yeah.
He got perfect games along with the rest of Burning Core, and that Darius pick was pretty inconsequential. Couldn't find his way into team fights. But at least in the second game, there were ways that Darius could get into team fights, could cause some chaos, could get some resets. It didn't work out in the end, but we kind of saw glimpses of it kind of being potentially a useful thing, especially if he is going to default to it or bring it out more often. He just needs to be in a team composition against a team as well that can allow him access.
Yeah, and I think my lanes to watch really going into this is going to be the classic mid lane jungle kind of matchup of Once and Rookie, or Roki.
Yeah, we don't have the
not Rookie, it's Roke.
Here.
I've done this once before. I know. I felt it the second that came out my mouth. I was like, wait a second.
Well,
I've done this before.
It's the key of Rookie, but it's Ro at the first.
Roke.
So.
I think Once and Roke versus Tussle and Ramone is going to be the kind of this mid-jungle lane. I think that's going to be a huge break open for both teams. I think that's where the win might be kind of decided. Technically, jungle diff.
Yeah, I think Once had some really good games, though.
Yeah.
I feel like I think that Rayfarki so far has been the guy which Burning Core have looked towards to carry, but it's not like the supporting cast hasn't done their legwork either. Proud, this Korean support coming in from the likes of Afrika, he was a substitute for them. He has had some very good games on his hook champions as well, so if he does get himself a Thresh, gets himself a Nautilus, and Blitzcrank has also played a game of that as well. I think he can have a very good impact on this game. So it's not like Burning Core have been bereft of hope.
True.
I have one concern though for Burning Core, and actually they're going versus Honey and Poo, have actually looked very good so far this split. Whereas Yuhi for me has been a little bit suspect. I don't think he's been that strong either in lane or in team fights. Proud's been good. I think Proud particularly has had 1 or 2 Thresh games where we've all gone, wow, that was pretty good.
Yep.
But Yuhi has been middling to best, I feel. And that could be a problem in that bot side, especially if we are looking at a lane like Honey and Poo who are willing to go for the 2v2 kills, and we could see the game get blown up and open down there if Yuhi doesn't step up.
Yeah, so with that all in mind, I think it's time for us to go into that pick and ban phase and see what the teams draft. Obviously, this is the LJL unofficial, so we're a slight blast from the past. Blast from the past. It's like we're back to the future, but future from the past of the past future.
Got to go back to season 5. God.
No, go back to season 3 and I can Jana Jungle again. That sounds great for me.
That sounds just atrocious.
But with that all in mind, let's get into game of 3, 2, 1, and good luck to both of the teams.
Our gigawatts have been charged, and we are back, all synced in and ready to get into draft here.
Oh, legitimately, that helps me so hard. 1.21 gigawatts.
We're here, but let's go over some team rosters and leave my color caster to stew in that awful Back to the Future reference. And here we are with Ray Farkey in the top lane for Burning Core on the blue side. Once in the jungle for them, it's Rocky in the mid lane, and it's Yuhi and Proud down in the bot side.
And for the second time today, taking the red side once more, it's the SoftBank Hawks Gaming. In the top lane, Dasher, jungle, Tussle, mid lane, Ramune, bot lane, Honey, and support, Pooh.
And looking at the bans that have come through, we have got a Rumble, an Aurelia, an Ornn, and Elise all off the table, and Akali just come through as well.
Akali still 100% pick ban presence, normally banned. All of these going towards the solo lane from the side of Burning Core, whereas the Hawks taking off the Elise in that priority early game jungler, and the Ornn, the team fight tank in the top and mid lane.
And of course, Ornn brings all his magical toys. He's kind of like the Santa of the Rift. I know Braum has the Santa skin, but really, Ornn's the one bringing all the presents. As we're getting a bit of an overlay here of the Champ Select, I think that probably means it's been a bit of an issue. We're going to have a bit of a remake of that Champ Select.
You know, like, once upon a time, you know, back when we were practicing for the LGL, we were talking about how, like, I would consider my life a completed journey, you know, like, my life goal to get on the friends list at the side of that client. I feel like I would have made it at that point.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, man. But
cool,
I mean, how close are you to having succeeded at that?
Pretty far away.
Yeah, I mean, okay, because
closer than I was, yes.
And indeed, are you live with us now, Mass1, during this pause?
I am now. I decided to just unmute myself. You had to repeat. Thankfully, Nymara. It worked.
Yeah, so, you know, got some problems with the flux capacitors in the back room. Just had to, you know,
So they're going to have to repeat the bans that they've already done.
Presumably they will just go from what the bands that
so
they went
it was who's the last one that just came in? It was the Akali.
Yeah, the Akali. No, the Akali was the Burning Core. I can't remember if SoftBank used
SoftBank hadn't banned someone yet.
Okay.
Where's Lucian? Where's Lucian? The Burning Core haven't banned Lucian against SoftBank. This is the first time this has happened.
And that's a good question, actually. I suspect Dasher and Ramune both play that champion pretty well.
And probably Honey, right? It's probably a three-way flex.
To be honest, I think most AD carries, since the Lucian has been so prominent over the years, will have some proficiency on that champion. Dasher was a previous mid laner, and once again, Lucian has been in the mid lane since about Season 6, really. So, yeah, I think there's a good...
Season 6? Was it really?
Yeah, it's MSI Season 6.
Long time that man's been flexed between two of them.
Was that Season 7? I forget.
I seem to remember SKT winning the MSI Season 6.
They did. They won Season 7 too.
I thought it was Zhao who bringing out the Lucian against Faker one of the first times that happened. Seem to remember.
Was that not Season 7 with Peanut there?
Oh yeah, probably was actually. Okay, ignore me. Season 7.
Still over 2 years. We're in Season 10 now. Remember, lads. It's all relative when you're going. Oh, back in my day of Season 7. It's like, yeah, that's a long time ago. Actually, relatively speaking.
I'm verging on being a league boomer just in terms of the amount of time and thought processes I've put into leagues. Like, when you try and put that much brain power, admittedly, not too much at any one time because my capacity is not particularly high, it does mean that the thought processes get a little bit muddled.
Throw yourself into the bus there.
It's where I belong sometimes. But we're actually going straight back into Champions.
Yeah, we're back in.
A couple of these bans coming out. Thank you for joining us, Mass1. Once again, lovely to hear your voice. So, presumably it's the Akali ban. We'll see what SoftBank Hawks uses their final ban.
Indeed, and that was, nice little divergence, but they get rid of the Darius. They don't want to play against Ray Farkey's Darius, so I can kind of get that. It is a particular character, it's a particular playstyle required, dash a little bit newer to the top side, probably doesn't want to have to play that.
Maybe something like that. I think that, oh, yeah, the set's actually gone unbanned for the first time in all of our 6 games that we are casting, including this one from week 3. It's the set and the Gragas locked in. Tussle,
Yeah,
very
Tussle,
good at that champion.
Indeed, pick that up. But of course, there is an element of, I suspect, Darius being quite good into set, who does want to be throwing punches around in the mid lane, and Darius really likes to be in those melee matchups, so I can see if they did want to pick the set, and Ray Farkey having already proven he is more than willing to pick up the Darius, just get it off the board.
Yeah, and the Braum's picked up the Proud, not the Thrash, not the Blitzcrank. It is definitely the more supportive pick of the Braum. Aphelios Braum actually a pretty decent kill lane, though. If you land the Winter's Bite and the Concussive Blow passive on Braum, and you have the Severum, the dual pistols, well, of Aphelios, you do get that stacked up very quickly, and it's a very quick, decisive lock-in of the Mordekaiser for Burning Core.
Yeah, and Darius might be banned, but his AP variety is still available in a Mordekaiser. Death Realm on the table for Burning Core. I suspect probably going up towards Ray Farkey, but is of course flexible towards that mid lane too.
Yeah, the Iron Revenant knows no bounds in these lanes, goes between both of them, goes where he pleases, much like Mundo does, except you don't want to see a Mundo mid, trust me. It is the Misfortune put into the bot lane from the Hawks. That was their 3rd pick and last pick of this first round of...
I'm going to need some context as to why you sounded so haunted by Mundo mid. What happened to you, man?
Mundo mid happened.
Mundo mid happened. And enough said on that topic, apparently. Gangplank taken off the board by the Hawks.
Yeah, Gangplank taken away. It's a pretty good matchup, as we were talking about on our podcast. That's plug number 3 for the day.
I've done none of the plugs yet. I don't know whether that's just me being bad at shilling or just needing to step up.
Step up your podcast. We're not getting paid for this. You gotta plug it. We do everything off our own back. Gangplank a pretty good scaling pick into the set. It's a bit of a free lane, so very good of the Hawks to realize that and ban it away. And yeah, we have been talking a little bit about how the Lucian has not been banned against the Hawks. It has been banned against them every game so far.
Lee Sin off the board, Nautilus off the board. I thought that was by Hawks for a second, but no, Nautilus taken off the board, so that engaged support down. I wonder whether it's a Leona ban. It probably ought to be a Lucian ban, though, surely.
It could also be a Thrash ban as well, if they want to go more towards the support pool. It could also be a Tom Kench as well. Pooh showing a couple of games on that. Well, it's been a lot of games across the LJL, really. It's actually the Thrash band away, just one of the... Yeah. So there's a couple of good Thrash
champions off now. There's a Blitzcrank available, of course. But thinking about it,
yeah.
Rakan, we did see a very good game last game, and they didn't, I suppose, having seen Gang make them feel a bit sad with his excellent flanks on that champion, Pooh decides to give it a go for himself. But the Lucian still on the board for both teams. To Burning Core pick it up here, or are we potentially going to see a last pick Lucian for the Hawks?
Yeah,
Janna Jungle, maybe, is what Matt Swan talking. Is it really back to Season 3? Have we time travelled this far? I don't know, back to the Java, much more normal.
It's the Javan, and actually Javan falling all the way through to this point in the draft is very rare. Yubi being hovered won't be picked until next patch, I don't think, or maybe 10.4 as well. Got a lot of buffs coming.
Regular hover, apparently. He seems to have been hovering this every game. Does seem to like the cat in the champ select. Thank you for the little sound effect. Much more likely to be a LeBlanc.
And it's actually LeBlanc locked in. And you know who's a good matchup into the LeBlanc? Lucian's pretty good. Lucian's pretty good into LeBlanc.
Yeah, okay.
So I'd really love to see Ramne pick up the Lucian. Does give a lot of... I mean, that'd be even better for me, not gonna lie.
I would be very excited to see a professional Ari game, but...
Oh, it's locked in! Yes!
What?
Yes, my boy, Ramne picking up Ari.
So, some context for those who don't know. My brother here is about 1 million mastery points into this champion. Is way up in Diamond 2 somewhere. Is a very excellent player of this champion. He's a bit of a one-trick. He's so ready to see this. He'll be giving us some brilliant in-depth knowledge on this matchup. Buddy, go. Tell me all about it. Never mind the rest of the team, guys. Tell me about this.
Yeah, we're going to forget about the rest of the team now because we've got too many important things to talk about in the mid lane. Ari has a couple of builds available to her. Can go towards the Glacial Augment. Can also go towards the Electrocute for more kill pressure in the mid lane, though. Able to cancel out the distortion of LeBlanc with the charm, so a lot of the damage from LeBlanc can be nullified from the matchup. It is a very swingy, skill-based matchup, so it can get very explosive very quickly, predicated on one skill shot landing, so look for the explosions in the mid lane, and look for the skill involved.
Okay, so that was a massive curveball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's kind of take a step back. Run me through what the win conditions are for both teams. I can sort of see what Burning Core is. You've got the Mordekaiser, who's that tanky front line, can take someone out of the fight in a team fight. You've got decent area effect engaged from a Jarvan and an Aphelios. You've got LeBlanc throwing her poke out, but Braum there to add some more CC, keep the Aphelios safe. But how on earth does this Hawks team kind of function?
Well, they hope that Burning Core can't keep it in the pants and too many charms land, effectively.
Okay.
That's the win condition.
Right, so it's love and affection coming in from the Hawks to try and catch people out, and that is very true. That's a lot of quite hard CC in the form of charm as well. It is very difficult to deal with, and it is the game of the week coming through for the LJL's official broadcast.
Oh, that's quite interesting. Okay, so I'm quite interested to see what build this Ari goes. Like I said, there are multiple runes you can take, multiple builds you can go, and that does change very vastly the way this Ari will be played. Obviously, the matchup into LeBlanc still kind of plays that the same way in the laning phase, though. You're looking for certain CCs to land. It is the Electrocute coming out from Ramonade, and it's actually a corrupting part start from the Ari. Not entirely sure I agree with that start. I think Doran's Ring is very good for your laning pressure. Gives you a bit more damage on your auto attacks towards minions as well.
But it will offer some sustain, especially if she feels like she's going to get ganked early. You can at least keep her health total high. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, that's another thing as well. You can cancel the Jarvan EQ with your charm as well.
That's very true, actually. Yeah. Could potentially stunt a lot of this engage then, or at least a lot of this aggressive playmaking on the side of Burning Core. Yeah. We'll see how Ramonade plays. It's picked up the Elderwood skin.
It's a good skin.
Yeah, it's some pretty tails on that one.
Yeah, and that has some really nice sound effects too for those who play that skin. But,
have you got a skin ranking, or do you just like them all equally?
I like to give them all playtime. I think there are a lot of good Ari skins, but eventually we're gonna have to talk about something which isn't Ari.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on to where we're seeing the early game go. Who's got an advantage, at least compositionally?
I mean,
so
in terms of a lot of the 1v1s, they are skill matchups. I think that MF. Rakan isn't a particularly strong 2v2 until he gets level 6 and you can lock up the other lane in that 2v2 with everything. But of course it is a Braum versus the MF. You can put up the shield against the bullet time, which does reduce a lot of the team fight damage coming out of the Hawks. So they're going to have to play around that cooldown, see if they can force out the shield before they can put down that bullet time. We see junglers starting on the same side of the map, actually, both starting towards the top side. So they'll be working their way down towards the bot side sooner rather than later.
And we're seeing full clear from the Jarvan, none of the level 2 shenanigans that he can pull out. But of course, do it too often becomes kind of predictable.
Okay. So I'm going to have to go back and talk about Ari again, because it's Electrocute first, but it's also the Inspiration secondary with the Dematerializer and the Time Warp tonic taken by Ari. So it does allow you to put all of your Dematerializers onto the back minions and clear them at pretty early levels. But if you go for Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm, you still clear minions at pretty much the same rank. And you then get extra AP to start damaging champions with not just minions as well. So
why would you go for the Time Warp Tonic?
Time Warp Tonic with the corrupting part is Dematerializer kind of gives you. I guess it kind of gives you like guaranteed wave clear, I guess. But with the Time Warp Tonic and the corrupting potion gives you a tad more sustain in the mid lane, but less trading power, I do feel. So anyway, those are the runes that have been chosen. And Ramonade is a professional player. I am not, so. I'll take that one on the chin.
At least you have yet to be convinced, and that's what's going to take a little bit of convincing on whether this was the right choice.
Yeah, I think that Ari in professional play does lack a lot of damage compared to other AP champions in that role. You're not really as bursty as something like LeBlanc, who has shorter cooldowns as well and mobility earlier into the game.
That's a good steal away on this blue buff from Once, though, who with Gragas backing early for the Predator boots, well-known kind of recall pattern is punished by Once on this job.
Yeah, and this is a pretty unique start from this Jarvan, managing to get the early scuttle as well. Might actually go towards the top scuttle as well to get a 2 scuttle start. We see a good trade from Dasher in the top side.
But Dasher's down up on the other side of Ray Fark. He's in a lot of trouble. But it is a decent shield coming through. It doesn't flash, but it's going to be forced back.
Yeah, and we have seen this matchup go the way of Set in early games. We saw it in DFM versus Axes, actually, where Ebby just took Unyan to town in this matchup. And we see once again that Dasher can, abuse the matchup. Both teleports actually used from the top lane. Speaking of teleports as well, LeBlanc going for the Ignite in the mid lane, not taking that Global Summoner.
Tussle is now around topside, but
Has
I
the
suspect
Predator
he will
groups.
be here for what will actually be the Krug tape. A decent trade into the Ari here in the mid lane. None of that interrupt you were talking about.
Yeah, so there are two ways to think about positioning in this lane because if you stand in the minions as Ari and you try and stand with your wave between you and LeBlanc, it means the chain is less likely to hit. But it does also mean you're less likely to cancel the dash because there's a minion that can get it in your way. I think actually Ramane's pretty happy with this lane positioning. You don't want to have the lane pushed too far up against LeBlanc who can dash forward and land the chain. And then with the Jarvan, there's a lot of ways you can follow up onto this mid lane.
I'm just still in slight bewilderment that this is the mid lane
I
matchup.
kind of am too. I'm not as much as I love the champion. I don't think that Ari is particularly good in professional play. I think it's very risky. I think that if there are a lot of kills during the game, Ari can get very fed. But if it's not a very action-packed game, then you can fall very far behind in damage very quickly. We see Ramune using the dematerializers quite quickly. We'll be able to clear out the minions from about level 8, level 7, depending on how much AP you get.
Yeah, but what this does mean is that Proud there trying to hold the wave actually down bot lane does pretty well at it. Most of the minions will be here for Yuhi to pick up. Who is actually down a fair amount of CS, even here to pick up that. Just down about just shy of 10 CS. But Misfortune gets a decent back, goes back for a BF sword just to the boots of this Aphelios, who clearly had to back pretty unfavorably.
And actually, we saw this from Honey last game as well, but we're not seeing the Doran's Blade stacking from the MF from this player in particular. We do see it sometimes on the MF for the laning power. Got the flat AD, bit of lifesteal, bit of HP as well. Gives you a lot of brawling potential on the Misfortune. But we're seeing straight into the BF sword because the gold was there.
And it is worth pointing out, it is an Infernal Drake first here, which means probably a fairly hotly contested one.
Yeah.
And once is starting that up as I speak about it. See how it goes. There is no teleports available from the top lane, so at worst this is a 4v4. Gragas is around, but will be on vision if he decides to come through because of a pink ward in that bush beyond the blue buff
and
wall.
actually, with the stats that you get from this dragon, it means that, just going back to the Ari again, because it's what I know, is that you're probably going to be able to clear out the backline of minions probably about level 7 if you dematerialize all of those backline minions. Oh, no, wait, it's gone to Burning Core.
Ari doesn't get it, so yeah. If the Hawks had some way somehow taken that one, then maybe it would have been very different. But Honey taking a fair amount of damage from a decent Winter's Bite from Braum into Infernum damage. But level 7 has ticked. And it's a lost chapter back from this Ari, so she's feeling pretty content.
See a gank onto the mid lane here, maybe. The chain's not landing onto Ramune, though.
Yeah, and of course you were saying it was a bit of a risky pick for this Ari, for this mid laner rather. But like it is Ramune, and if there's a player I trust to pull out something like an Ari, it probably would be Ramune. Who has got that kind of history, experience, and skill there to pull out something like this.
And actually, so in the last game that we cast as well, the DFM versus the Hawks Gaming, we saw that there was a Rumble versus Ziggs matchup. But before the Ziggs was picked, the LeBlanc was banned. As we see another attempt onto mid, actually.
Still here, but of course Ramune does have the ult if he needs it. It's not used it yet. He's going to have to burn a second charge, and he's out.
Yeah, okay, that's an ult for an Ignite trade in the mid lane.
And you'll probably take that, but that's a massive bullet time. The shield is there, though. Keeps Yuhi alive, but a sliver of HP, and does have to burn the heal through the Ignite into that engage as well. Though. But are they going to stick around? Is on low HP. No, only he is actually going to stick around.
He's sticking around just because the bot lane from the Hawks just kind of backing off there, getting some vision down, roaming into the river, just secure their own little territory on this side of the map. So at the end of the day, that's a heal for Ignite trade between the two teams, but it is a chunk onto the bot lane, forcing the Aphelios back. Probably going to be able to back and get either the Caulfield's Warhammer or the BF sword for this Aphelios. We'll see what it... Oh, actually, he's just...
They have to stick around just to keep an eye on this wave. Don't want to lose that. But it does mean it's a nice back for this Misfortune, who's now pretty much 15 CS up on this, nearly 20 even. So it's going... Yeah. I did call out Yuhi as needing to step up in this game. So far, he is being put to task, really, by Honey and Pooh.
Yeah, and I think Pooh and Honey have had solid laning phases. We did see a clean 2v2 kill onto DFM, a bot lane that we have praised for such a long time, the LJL, across so many different splits, so many different seasons. So they've shown that they can come into this league, tussle with the best of them, unlike their jungler, who is just Tussle himself. And I think the bot lane of the Hawks has had a good showing in the first handful of games in this split.
So it's an early CS lead for this set, but it hasn't grown since the early levels. And we're not seeing that utter demolition we saw from Ebby in this matchup the last time.
Yeah.
So we're kind of seeing this stabilize. We've seen Mordekaiser rush towards the Zonyas to stay safe in that lane and not get and have that early armor. Tussle and Ramane here. That's a dash forwards by Rocky, but does have, of course, the Mimic Distort. So.
And also it's a bit of a danger dashing into the minion wave with the charm available. Being able to get charmed up doesn't just give you the extra damage, of course, it does CC you, and being CC'd around minions that have...
missed the
chain
charm,
land.
and that's a massive engage.
That's
Goodbye,
nasty.
Ari. She flashes away for first blood, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter because LeBlanc does damage.
And very well played from the mid-jungler Burning Core, knowing that if the chains land, then there's no escape from the Ari flashing away, but to no avail, the dunk comes in, the kill comes in for the LeBlanc of all people, which is kind of nasty. So it does mean that this skill matchup does start tilting the way of LeBlanc, who already has a 20 CS lead after the continued pressure from once.
Well, yet gonna lose the wave here. That's a second. There's the second wave because she had to back earlier as well.
Yeah.
So not
Losing a
looking
cannon
good so
wave
far.
too
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
a big deal.
Yeah.
But Tussle's here to pick it up, and that's something at least for the Gragas, who does a fair amount of damage himself if he can get towards his runic echoes.
Yeah, so we're going to go see here. Ramone thinks they're safe because the Gragas is around and misses the charm. Just a nasty combo coming in from once there, and the chain from Rocky just picking up the last bit of damage there. As Tussle runs into once in the top side of the jungle.
Trying to fight, but
Oh, he
Tussle
sliced it
claims
away.
all those, and that means Rocky is here though. Rummed up, but Dasher is 2. We're looking at a 2v3, and Ramone is roaming up as well. Is on one, they're going straight in, and that's a decent charm. This time on once
that's
goes down.
nasty.
Much better combo, and Ramone has ult, is still chasing, but has still got that ult there. Spirit Rush, rather.
That
to
was
continue
that was a
pushing in this mid lane.
suplex into charm combo from the Ari and the set there. Just guaranteed CC, guaranteed kill there, and even though the blast plant was there, good pink wards from the Hawks to make sure that they were guaranteed out of vision going into that play. It's a good turnaround kill.
Overzealous on that invade were Burning Core, and they get punished for it.
Yeah, and it does suck, obviously, for once had some great early pressure around that mid lane. As we see Ramone just clearing out the mid lane, looking for a back end, this chunk largely inconsequential.
Yeah, has the corrupting pot running anyway,
Yeah, for
so
some
pretty
reason.
happy to be getting out of here.
I'm sorry, so like, wait, it's actually Rocky cancels the back there. That's kind of unfortunate because this wave is now frozen a little bit on the side of the LeBlanc, and Ramone pretty low on that HP, considering that he doesn't have the Spirit Rush to disengage a lot of these trades.
Yeah, has to be careful. That's a decent ground entrance there from Poo, knocks up Yuhi, but just backing away now. And that's fine by the side of Burning Core's bot lane, but Tussle's found his way down here.
He's
Has
been pinged
got
out,
his... Yeah, I think he has, but not, or at least they suspect he's there, and he does, of course, have this explosive cascade. That pink ward is still in that bush up beyond the blue buff wall.
Yeah, and once again, Once was actually just looking to see if he could dunk in on the mid lane.
Found
there.
it now, but no, Honey walked in and they didn't see it. And that's a Rift Herald summon in the mid lane, knowing where the members of the Hawks are, but that's good wave clear from the RE trying to keep this turret alive. It'll be plate, but no,
it does get it. It does
just
get the
about
place,
in
yeah.
range for that, and that means that Burning Core can transition to this Drake and get a second one for himself.
Yeah, so if you have done damage to the tower within a certain time frame, it doesn't actually matter if you're within the local radius for the tower. You still get those plates. Well thought by Ramone to try and zone Rocky away from that, though. It's kind of just stabilizing at a 15 CS lead for the LeBlanc here. Ramone a little bit on life support here, as Once has found so many different inroads into this mid lane.
At least picked up the assist in that last engage. Has got Merc Tread, so fairly
Yeah.
safe from the chains in the CC.
Oh, I don't know
commentary.
about that.
Well, safe, maybe rather to put. And is on that last chapter, so probably not miles away from a Ludens. I assume, or maybe a GLP build.
Okay, so sometimes with the Electrocute, we still see the GLP as well. We see that from the likes of Syndra, but Ari does like to have that extra AP, and also the Ludens proc to help with the wave clear. Doesn't scale with AP quite as hard as other champions, but does need it for the wave clear. It looks like he's going towards the Ludens with the blasting one picked up, though.
Good grasp there to pull Dasher in and mess up his Haymaker a touch.
Yeah.
But we're seeing a Facebreaker return here, and Tussle is here as well. Is Ari roaming up?
is here.
No, but Once is. And that's currently a 3v2 but Rayfarki is currently safe as Tussle looks to back.
Yeah, Pooh with a roam up there, just seeing if there's any play to be made. Mid lane being pushed out by the Ahri after LeBlanc leaves on her roaming ways, completed the Ludens already, showing that that gold lead there for the side of that mid lane on Burning Core.
It is a very tight game, though. It's only 400 gold in the lead for Burning Core. And let's look through some of these item completions. Misfortune has an Essence Reaver. Aphelios does not, and Ramane has gone forward. It's a good charm, and suddenly this bot lane is in so much trouble. Rotated through the river and getting punished for it. Having to, no flash, just the heal burnt from Yuhi.
Both
Ignite down from Ramane.
Yeah, so the
It's
Ramane
actually not as good as I thought it was going to be.
And it's also the Spirit Rush put in as well. At least it's level 11. It is the second rank of that ultimate, so slightly lower cooldown. Has the flash available if wants to commit to a flash charm into some burst from the Gragas. But nothing really happening after that play there. Both ultimates used from the bot lane of Burning Core, as we were saying. I'm trying to remember if that was the Severum ult for the heal, but honestly, I couldn't tell if it happened on my screen.
I think it was a Severum ult. I think it's Severum and Crescendo, so I think it was a Severum ult. If we see the replay, maybe we'll get that, because it looked like Yuhi was taking a lot of damage, but it was a good... That's a nice charm there. But it's not... Such a good trade for his health bar, though, who does take a lot from that. Rocky getting quite strong with his Ludens now.
Well, this is the thing, right? Because Rocky has a lot of poke trades, which can eventually lead to a kill trade if...
Going in, but it's not quite enough. Nope, gonna stay alive. Ooh. But that's a flash ignite.
So close. Third, I think that was 28
But they're going to claim first blood in this mid lane, and there's massive engagement once again, but no. Stays alive, but it is at the cost of the mid lane turret.
Yeah, and this is the problem with the Ahri LeBlanc matchup, is that if the LeBlanc gets ahead of the Ahri, every poke trade turns into a trade, which means you have to blow something. Last time it was the ult. Well, one time we've seen it being the ult. This time it's the flash, and also gives them the turret as well. At least the CS isn't spiraling out of control, and the Ludens has been picked up for the Ahri, but it is definitely... the playmaking ball is in the court of Rocky so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's also just looking back at some of the dominoes that were set up. That was the Rift Herald early on summoned there as well. Meant that the turret was low, so if they could force the Ahri away from the tower, they could take it.
Yeah.
But second Rift Herald had spawned, and the Hawks have decided they want to return the favor, so they're going to start this up. Ramane does have that Spirit Rush available, but of course it's a LeBlanc that will be coming into contest if she decides to, and her ultimate is up pretty much all the time.
Yeah, but at least they managed to garner some vision control around... the top side of the map, which does mean that Charms coming out of Fog of War are still pretty threatening.
It's going to be a 4v4 though. Once Proud and this Aphelios for Yuhi wandering through, but that's teleports now being born. But Ramane's in the back here. It's going to try and throw a bit of damage, but look how much damage Tussle is taking. But once has to stopwatch. It's a decent response though from Rayfarki on this side. But look at the flipping suplex. It does so much damage. Proud has to stopwatch as well. Ramane is running around as much as he can. Proud taking a lot of damage, but once is in this backline, and Honey is there. Didn't think the flipping Jarvan was still there, and once gets out, and that is a double kill for this Mordekaiser.
It's a messy split fight from both teams, and it is the Burning Core team which come out on top of this little skirmish there. It is, however, the Hawks which pick up the second Herald, at least goes over to the side of Pooh. But this might end up being... It's the cost of 3, and it was also probably the cost of a Cloud Drake as well, and the third dragon to the side of Burning Core, who are slowly encroaching onto the control of this game. So, we see Ramane off to the side, trying to just play a bit of goalkeeper against the LeBlanc here. Once dives in, a lot of damage onto Tussle already, but Tussle does get the smite down. After this, the CC comes through after once comes out of the stasis, does finish off Tussle, even with all the bursts committed. Dasher with a good showstopper on the backside of here. Proud making his way out of the fight, but it's Honey left alone in the pit with the Bash Bros top jungle of Burning Core, and that would be the third kill to the side of their team.
And Air Drake starting up now by Burning Core, who had a really good fight there. I thought I got distracted by the flashy suplex.
Yeah.
And I thought that was going to be a great fight for the Hawks, but actually stopwatch from Proud kept him alive, and Rayfarki came in and just started hitting people, and they died. Yeah. And Honey thought that once had backed in the back of that pit, didn't have him on vision, walks in and is very surprised to see a Jarvan still
and
there.
also this is part of the map geometry which comes into play here as well. On the red side, you really don't have a good retreat path from the Herald should things go awry inside the pit. Meant that Honey did die in that fight there, having a little bit of a difficult game so far, but did have a good ultimate. And a good laning phase as well, actually. No, probably not right to say a difficult game in its entirety. CSing very well in that 2v2. But it is, of course, Yuhi who has picked up the Essence Reaver and the boots. Actually, Honey has as well.
Yeah, he just picked up for Yuhi. I think Honey had that in the last fight, actually, due to the CS lead he had garnered. But it is still a pretty close goal game. It's about 1.5 in the lead for Burning Core, and that Rift Herald that the Hawks did pick up was used successfully to break down this mid-tier 1. So the turrets are currently even. We'll see where the game goes from here. How are win conditions looking for these two teams?
So Burning Core have 3 dragons. That's a win condition in itself.
Yes.
Himself the Cloud Soul, which is actually very big for the Mordekaiser. Casts the Death Realm and gets to run you down.
You can't escape in there.
Yeah, and also has gone for the Nash's too, so a lot of close range DPS. If you manage this to stick within melee range of you, and with the Cloud Soul, that becomes much easier. So when that dragon comes up, Burning Core will definitely want to fight over that. Also, the Aphelios being able to use the ultimate to then run into melee range into these team fights. Well, not melee range, not quite, but run into DPS range for that AD carry into these fights as well. The win conditions for the Hawks is largely pick between the Ahri and the Ahri, the Gragas, and the Rakan being able to put down their CC, layer it with maybe the bullet time as well if they're getting a little bit further behind in this game. But it is getting much harder when they're losing the push in the side lanes, meaning that it kind of leads into a vision control lead for Burning Core as well.
Yeah, but if a Rakan, an Ahri, and a Gragas all come storming out of vision with a set
That
TP...
sounds like a start of a really bad joke, by the way. A Rakan, an Ahri, and a Gragas walk into a bar.
Yeah, Gragas bar.
Gragas, but yeah, he is a well-known alcoholic, for better or for worse.
I think he's also a brewer, right? So, like, that's what he does, is he owns business. But Gragas Esquire is a legitimate businessman and not attached to the Mafia skinline in any way, shape, or
he doesn't have a Mafia skin. Like, maybe you're just... Whoa, dude, you can't just leak skins like that. Mafia Gragas?
I don't think the Esquire skin is the one with him in the purple jacket. It's part of the Mafia skin line.
Wait, I didn't know that.
I think it is, yeah.
Maybe they could just do
so he's supposed to be like a corrupt businessman, but that's clearly not true because Gragas is an upstanding member of society and cool. Not part of any of this criminal enterprising.
Well, good to know. I will go to him with my further business inquiries if I have any.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But, especially if you have drink suggestions too, possibly.
Well, LS
so they have a bit of a kick, like a good half a screen kick. But
good.
All right,
sorted that out.
Let's see if we can bring this back into something resembling a talk about the actual game.
LS would be very happy with this set. Has gone for the Triforce up in the top side. Ahri actually building towards a Banshee's Veil secondary. So actually, I mean, this is the problem for me when you go for this particular rune choice and on the secondary as well, is just that when you have to go in towards Mercury Treads and the Banshee's Veil, you don't have a lot of the burst pressure that you do if you manage to go for double penetration first or into something like a Leadsy Large Rod as well. Even though it has decent wave clear at this point in time, really struggling to have that solo kill pressure even when this charm lands onto these targets.
Yeah, but while he doesn't have the solo kill pressure, does of course still have the Spirit Rush and the charm available. Always useful, that baseline utility. But once again,
he's
caught in here. He's going to get caught, but has got a Spirit Rush. That's a lot missed, but actually it's not going to matter because the second charm is here. He's going to turn it around with the Cataclysm. Is the damage here? Yes, it is. Ramane gets that kill, and that's not clean, but it is done.
I'm sorry, just look how little damage that champion does with this build. It's kind of sad to watch, but it is a kill coming through onto the Jarvan. Once getting just a little too far into the jungle there. Rayfarky got a good push onto the bot side with the Nash's Tooth though. I like that animation he has when he's hitting the turret. Do you know the first champion was that had a turret hitting animation?
I don't.
I believe it was Echo.
Huh.
Yeah, I believe he was the first champion with like a dedicated tower hitting animation.
Cool little addition. There are some there's been some cool little quality of life changes like that for like various little details in champions as things have progressed that have been quite interesting. That's always an interesting one. Like turret hitting animations, pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's also stuff like random voice lines for. I mean, Kai'Sa had quite a lot when it's like when you miss a W, she kind of like says some exasperated voice lines and stuff like that.
All right, let's bring this together now. We've got Cloud Soul available and summoned on the Rift. Hawks are here, have early vision, are going to start this up straight away. Don't want to allow Want access to. That's a decent charm onto Rayfaki, putting some damage, but of course he has a
So
shield.
little damage,
Doesn't
though.
take all that much damage. But this Ari's still off to the side. So is Pooh. But once it's found his way over, does he get it? And that's suplexed out straight away. Another charm, but it's only onto Braum. But he's taking a lot of damage before he gets much done. Flashing away best he can. But look at the misfortune taking so much damage from Rocky in the backside. And he does go down.
Dead.
But look at the bot side. Dasher has done a massive amount of damage. Is stuck in this death realm, doing as much work as he can. Dasher does do the most amazing shield there. And all the damage. But look at Rayfaki gets a double kill through that anyway. And Rocky doing a lot of damage. But he gets, well, avoids the Essence Orb, and that'll be the end of that. It is another good fight for Burning Core, but the objective once again goes the way of the Hawks.
I'll have you know it's the Orb of Deception.
The Orb of Deception.
Yeah, not an Essence Orb. She's Essence Thief is her passive.
Apologies. It's Orb of Deception.
Actually, it used to be a passive. Her passive now is a Verstein Grace. But
Verstein
anyway,
Grace. Okay.
horrible fight for Sengoku. Oh, not Sengoku, for this. Oh man, my mind is all over the place. It's a horrible fight for the team in red. The Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks, and they're going towards this Baron now as well, with this really tanky Mordekaiser tanking up this Baron. No smite available to them to try and steal this tussle, running out of bases.
Ooh, got
Close from Ramonade though for the Baron steal there. Doesn't get it, and now we're left with 8 kills to 3 for the side of Burning Core. At least they didn't give over the Cloud Soul to them as well. So we see that the suplex out of the pit from the set, just trying to stop the Dragon Steal from once. It's a good charm onto the Braum, but doesn't actually finish off a kill. And the Stone Plate and the shield buying a lot of time for Proud on the Freljordian shield bearer there. Yuhi really isn't threatened here, whereas we see Honey getting absolutely one-shot by the LeBlanc and helping cast of Burning Core. The ultimate comes down from Rayfaki, but it's a very good dunk from the Jarvan to just lock up.
Oh, Honey and Pooh got deleted.
Yeah,
well, not
just
Honey
lock,
and Pooh, sorry,
just lock
Dasher
up.
and Pooh got deleted.
Yeah, lock up Dasher and Pooh, as you were saying. And yeah, after that, I mean, everyone's pretty much dead. And as we said, on her own, Ahri is not doing quite as much damage as she'd like to be doing at this point in the game. I think it's a flashy pick, but if you do fall behind, as you do in the early laning phase, you do find yourself in these positions more often than not on the Nine-Tailed Fox.
Well, we'll see how it works out. Honey does have a couple items, can do a lot of damage. Tussle has a fully completed Leandries alongside his Runic Echo, so maybe can do some work as well. And I will throw a correction out. It wasn't Pooh and Dasher, it was Pooh and Tussle. Third time is the charm. Oh, wow. Good grief. I didn't mean to make that pun, but there we are. I kind of had to go through with
obviously,
it anyway.
they should have picked Evelyn.
Yes,
obviously,
that's
for the
it.
last
For
charm
the
in League of Legends.
For the last of it, that would have been an entertaining combo.
Yeah, it's one of your champions.
It
yourself,
is.
actually.
It is. I enjoy playing Evelyn. The
actually,
invisibility is a very strong pick in my.
Yeah, no, I think you were right to pick up on the Leandry's pickup for Rayfaki, and also one picked up for Tussle as well. Gone for the Ionian Boots alongside the Leandry's. Definitely there for the base.
Another charm onto only onto one, so it does survive.
Which does nothing.
Yeah,
once again.
I just keep seeing the charms like, is it a pick? No, it's not, because there's no damage.
Look how little. Oh, look how little this champion can do with this build. And the thing is, actually, when you go for this kind of build, if you go Sorcery Secondary, you can also take the Nullifying Orb, which is really good in the laning matchup as well. Would have been quite useful against the LeBlanc and a lot of those burst trades. Could have also, again, gone for the Glacial Augment, as we're saying. Gives you a bit more utility with the GLP and the Twin Shadows built up. But obviously, this game, gone for the Electrocute. But when you fall behind, you just don't do much as a champion. Charm lands there, but it's just not enough damage.
Exactly. It's really not, and no one's there to back up the damage. And that's a missed Moonlight Vigil, though. That was fairly poor, actually. But it does mean that this tower is still going low, and Rocky is very strong on this LeBlanc. I feel like we should mention that a little bit more. Has got a Ludens complete, has got a Morello complete, and has got a needlessly large rot in there as well. But Dasher has managed to catch with a decent face break, and is going to force this Mordekaiser back over here. He's going to die in the Death Realm. I'm assuming to the turret. Yep, just about.
Oh, the shield.
Oh, that's a decent shield, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Yep, does get shut down by the Gragas, but Rocky is pushing in this top side, gets a turret while all those shenanigans are occurring.
Yeah, it's a good push on the top lane from Rocky. A lot of time bought by Rayfaki. At least it's not so it is the Zhonya's popped. It's not the likes of a stopwatch. So it's not like it's the one use item you kind of feel like is wasted. It's just a cooldown to be put into the timers that the Hawks are tracking.
But the base is not broken, and therefore the Hawks still have a chance in this game. But there is a gold lead of about 5k. There is an Aphelios with a QSS to avoid all the charms coming at him. But this Mordekaiser, who was so very strong, isn't going to be around if the Hawks can rush down this Drake. It will be a 5v4.
Yeah.
And this is once again for Seoul. Once is around behind the pit, off vision. So what do the Hawks do? Throws down a pink ward, so it is now
I think they
known.
have to rush it. I think they have to, otherwise they just give up the soul. They can't fight with the Mordekaiser around, running out with Home Guard right now. But there is a level disadvantage onto...
And it's taken by Gragas, so that's all well and good. Once now going to get out of here, bop the stone plate. Pooh's around the corner though, and Hawks are going to try and retreat back through their jungle, but Soul staved off. Second Cloud Drake claimed for them, so that's some more ultimate cooldown on a fairly ultimate heavy team as well.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot of CGI. It does mean that a level 16, the Ahri will probably be getting down towards about a 30-second cooldown on the ultimate there. The ultimate hunter will not be stacked up fully though. Not many kills going the way of the Hawks this game, and certainly not the way of the Ahri either. With the 3
I
kill
have to
participation.
confess some confusion about the Oblivion Orb pickup. Where is Flatpen going to be useful?
I was
There's
gonna
so
mention
much magic resist.
gonna
Like,
mention that.
surely just build towards the Void Staff at that point.
So if you go Oblivion Orb into so every member of Burning Core has built up magic resist. We even see the QSS built up by Yuhi, and of course there's a lot of magic resist on Proud as well. This Oblivion Orb means next to nothing actually in terms of relevant damage.
Build Sword Pen boots. It's not even
Yeah,
like
it's
loads
not
of
double
Flatpen.
pen. It's not double pen. It's against magic resist on every member of Burning Core, and yeah, I do think that either building towards either a needlessly large rod or into a void staff would have been a better purchase from Ramane here, who's already struggling to burst out so many members of this Burning Core team.
But while we've kind of been focusing on this RE pick,
I kind of have to.
Yeah, it's not unsurprising. What we probably do want to look at, though, is the fact that Honey is very strong at the minute, has got his 2 items and a Hex Drinker, so hopefully will survive the LeBlanc burst. And where the RE is not strong, that is 3 major items in for that LeBlanc. Behold a very special witch's hat in there. Rabadon's death cap complete, ready to cause a hell of a lot of damage to anybody that she so much as sniffs at.
It makes you cry a little bit inside as an Ahri main, just kind of saying, oh, I wish I was that champion. But yeah, no, I think the win condition for the Hawks right now is to layer someone in, just pin someone in place long enough for the bullet time to shred them. I think then after that point, if you've managed to do that before the objective fight has started, then you can try and reset and try and fight around one of these bigger objectives and try and, stave off this, 6 going on 7k gold lead.
And the gold lead is slowly increasing for Burning Core, and Baron is live. They don't have Dragon Soul, sadly for them, but that's not going to matter when they do have such a significant lead. And who actually deals with the Mordekaiser at the minute?
I think Sat can do okay there. You can at least shuffle him out of the fight. But most of the time, actually, Dasher has been trying to punt out the jungler so they can't smite away the objectives. Obviously, fighting towards the Dragon Soul has been a very important factor in these last couple of team fights.
And speaking of the Iron Revenant, he and his ginormous mace are walking towards this very low health inhibitor turret. Decent charm, but does no damage. Because even Braum has Merc Treads
and a stone plate.
And exactly.
Like, what do you do?
It's like you are a CC bot at this point, Ari. I apologize.
Legitimately, yeah.
For any insult garnered, but that's exactly what you are.
No,
and Rakan does it better than you. He can hit it on multiple people at once.
Legitimately, yeah. I think that Hawks are really hoping that this game is in a stalemate for a bit longer, and at least they can get up to a couple more items onto their backline. I think that with the more Malmortius picked up for Honey, perhaps he's thinking he can carry a team fight, and then
there's not that much armor on the side of Burning Core. There's Azonias, and that's pretty much it. I suppose Gargoyle Stoneplate will count, and that will help a little bit. But that does mean the bullet time will hit like a truck because they have itemized so much.
But the problem is, what happens if Rayfarki gets a flank and then just ults the MF out? What happens then?
They lose, I suspect, and this is looking significantly better from Burning Core after a week 2 that was a little bit suspect with some drafts a bit suspect. They're going for the pick onto Rayfarki instead. They don't care about the Baron. They don't think they can win it, so they're just going to go for this. The Death Realm has popped, but Dasher survives, and he's going to come over here. Honey's running away, but he's healing so much. Tussle is available down here, and they're going to get another charm and another decent Haymaker. Damage coming through, but this is such a damn strong Mordekaiser, but it is a shutdown now.
He's going for the steal.
Going to go steal. Can he get it? Tussle doesn't get it, but it's a massive bullet time as well into that pit. And they're going to try and fight, but at this point, Burning Core have a numbers advantage, and it's going to be 2 for none and the Baron.
Yeah, so at least they shut down the split push. Other Mordekaiser won't have that. Baron buff available once he respawns, but it is 2 dead on the side of the Hawks, and also the Baron going the way of Burning Core. Now they have to deal with not only a very strong LeBlanc, very strong Aphelios with 3 items and a QSS, they have to deal with the Baron buff Siege as well.
That was a worthy attempt by Tussle, who
yeah.
got pretty close to stealing that. Like, once again, like, we saw the first Baron nearly get stolen by incidental RE spells.
Yes.
All of them. The Foxfires and the Orb of Deception and all the rest of it coming flying out.
Oh,
But
sweet Jesus, Ramade's gone for a Morello.
he has, but no one is really healing, so I'm not entirely sure what the worth of that is, but there we go.
It does give you a bit of extra HP, which does make your magic resist a little bit more effective, but honestly, Ramade is going to struggle to find much use as a solo player this game, and to be honest, the game, it's already an 8k gold lead for Burning Core, and now you have to deal with a Cloud Soul as well. This has really gone from bad to worse for the side of the Hawks at this point in the game.
Yep, the Hawks' wings are certainly looking a little clipped. And let's look again at this near Baron steal. Got so close, did this.
Yeah.
Down just to 750. That was really...
575 I saw there, actually.
Yeah,
Got
575.
very, very close. So actually, the smite disadvantage almost not coming into play there. It was very close on the steal there. But Burning Core, once again, just very, very in control of this game. They've had the push of the lanes they want. They got the early dragons, now they have the soul, and they've been team fighting very well around their strong Aphelios.
There is decent wave clear, at least between the Ari and the Misfortune, but I don't think it's going to be enough, especially not with the 1-3-1 now committed to. Mordekaiser is shoving in this topside, will be there in a matter of probably 10 or so seconds. But Ari going forward misses the charm again, though, and that's Ramade's not been particularly accurate with those so far.
Well, I think that when you're dancing around the minion wave and you have a flag and drag to take into account as well, sometimes you kind of mind game yourself a little. With the minion wave dead, it doesn't matter actually. Burning Core going in towards the mid lane, taking down an inhibitor, looking towards the top lane as well. I think at that point in the game, when the teams split, you do have to try and go for a pick there, particularly with the bullet time available. I think that it's not a bad attempt, but of course it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, if that charm had landed, maybe the bullet time comes through, maybe the base is saved, but right now it's looking like 2 inhibitors are going to go down in fairly swift order. There's still 20 seconds of this Baron buff left to play. Do Burning Core look to push an end?
Well, without the Spirit Rush available, there's not many ways that Ramade can really impact the larger flow of this fight, and whereas Burning Core have everything available to them.
Eyes on this. Rakan does still have the quickness going in. His dasher with a flash face breaker. Decent engage, but look at the damage from this LeBlanc, who is disgustingly strong. Yui as well, putting out massive damage, and this is going to be a major 4 for none and the game for Burning Core, who clean up this game. Ari left alive on the fountain, but it means so little. 14-5 in kills, and the game ends in the favor of Burning Core.
Oh, and you hate to see it, but a fantastic win for Burning Core on the other perspective of that as well. Mass1, what did you think of that game?
Well, it's not good to be a Hawks fan today. I'll be honest with you, lads. It's
not particularly good to be an Ari player today either.
No. We both got something sad with that one. I was very shocked that Lucian wasn't played instead of the Ari there.
I would have really liked to see the Lucian as well.
But, in all honesty, congratulations to Burning Core. That was definitely their best game by a mile. I'm sorry, but that's a fact. That was very strong on every axis. Why is everyone turning it on now? But then I guess that's because we've now got a few weeks in. People are starting to understand how other teams are playing. I want to get your kind of perspective from you two as well. Like, we're almost at the end of week 3. The games we're seeing are much higher. And, like, no one team outside of DFM really seems to have consistency, I think would be the term.
Like, I want to just sort of say, like, for me, Burning Core turned it on in the fact that Rocky had a great game. Actually, on the LeBlanc, did a lot of work on that. I mean, in fairness, there was some good assists from Once coming through on a good couple of ganks. Got the first.
Yeah, his J4 was on
flag and drag out of vision. So that was some good stuff from Once. But actually, for me as well, I think Ray Farkey had another excellent game. He kind of turned around his week 2 performances, and the Mordekaiser made a lot of sense.
It
was
did.
down 10 CS early to the set, but that swiftly got turned around and ended up being an utter monster in the side lane. It was like taking 3 people like 30 plus seconds to even try to deal with.
Yeah, I think that Rayfarki was a massive point of power on the map, and I think even though Burning Core had a weak showing last week, I don't think their individual performance were necessarily bad mechanically.
No, sure.
I feel like just their drafts were not necessarily in place, if you get what I mean, when you kind of like play around the Darius to like very hard disengaged teams. It just doesn't work out for you. This game, I'm glad that they picked out the Mordekaiser. It looked really strong on Rayfarki. Didn't fall down in that matchup like Onion did versus Ebby, as we saw once in the FM Axis matchup. And I think Burning Core have to be very happy with this performance. I think that they played very well going into this game. And obviously on the other side of that, the Hawks need to feel... I think they need to go back to the drawing board a little bit. I think that they looked a little bit rudderless in this game. They didn't necessarily have a good...
I'll be honest, both games... My player, like, arguably, my player of the week for week 2 was Honey. And arguably, this has been his worst performance.
There was some
he was out of position all the time. Not even his ult. His positioning was just god-awful, I'll be honest. He was just always in the worst spot, and he's playing against dive comps where he knows he's meant to stand way further back, let his front line start taking it, and then he's meant to walk in. You're a Misfortune. You have a movement steroid. Yeah. You can do this.
So, I think I think it's right to put the magnifying glass on him and say, okay, what happened in these games, right? I think against DFM, it's a hard ass to try and avoid a diving Aatrox, the CC setting up for the Mega Inferno bomb. So I think that one you can kind of give a bit of a free pass. I think the problem in this game is that Honey was literally the only threat on his team.
So he has to be trying to get the damage.
And on the other side of that, it's like, well, Burning Core are like, well, if we deal with Honey, I mean,
we
kill
win.
Honey, kill the game.
And then that Ari's doing nothing. So
exactly.
And we saw how limited damage that Ari did with the build she went for. We called out things like the Banshee second. We called out the Oblivion Orb build.
I think that right from the rune selection, I think I could pick up like a good 3-4 things that I would have changed going into that game. I think that you can either go for Glacial. I think Glacial is really good with an MF when you're trying to set up for a team fight, right? If you're trying to go for a pick game, you play this game very differently. And also, again, going the Inspiration secondary, when you could have gone for the Nullifying Orb, we did see a lot of these really hard trades coming in from LeBlanc, which meant that there were some very close kills onto the Ahri as well.
The one last thing I want to put on is obviously Honey and Pooh have been this kind of dynamic duo. Whenever the Hawks win, it's normally because Honey and Pooh are basically joined at the hip, partly, except for Pooh when he normally does his roam from 7 to 9. That's very common from him. Pooh played Rakan. And the other games that they've played, he's normally played a Hook champ of some form, normally Thresh or Nautilus.
Yeah.
I really wasn't impressed with his Rakan at all. It wasn't what this team needed, and I think maybe some extra engage might have assisted potentially with the MF.
I agree on some points there. I feel like I think that Rakan is a premier engaged champion.
Sure.
It's what he does. I think that, so in terms of like the engage, I agree with that.
And it's totally fine now to pick him without Xayah. Like, I totally agree with you.
I think that Rakan brings a lot of utility to a team in a lot of different... And we saw Gang have a really good game on that.
Yeah. It was amazing.
You know, he was just really good at getting flanks and stuff like that. I think Rakan's pretty hard to play from behind. That's one reason why that didn't necessarily work out in the team fights. Also, we talked about the limited damage coming out of the team in team fights.
If he does get picks, it means nothing.
But the thing for me is that Honey and Pooh looked really good in their 2v2s up until this point, right? They looked pretty good, and then Rakan doesn't really give you kill pressure in 2v2 unless you've got the Xayah. There are some ways you can win it in certain matchups.
And
they were up 20 CS, right? They played the lane well. Like,
but did you ever think that the game was going to be won through bot lane through 2v2?
Well,
I saw Misfortune hit 2 items well before Ophelos, and I thought, well, maybe there is a way that Misfortune.
But the way they normally do it, is by Pooh getting a hook, and then they just win the lane. Like Pooh is Pooh is just a god at initiation. He lands his hooks so well. He's like probably like the third or second. He's definitely in like contention for second
top three-
place.
top three
Well,
support
first
for me,
place still
yeah.
is Gang. Like,
Gang. I think the guy's really good.
Gang, like maybe Corporal is somewhere in there. Like, there's a few.
Yeah,
There's a few of these supports that are definitely fighting for
I
contention.
think Corporal's been
His
very
Thresh was
consistent
God,
as well.
and I would have
Yeah,
loved
very good
to have
stuff.
seen a Thresh here personally, or a Leona,
Well,
or
we are
an.
banned.
we saw it banned in the last game. I can't remember.
I
the
think
full
it was
bans
off-
from
I
West
think
game.
it was banned.
It was banned, but was it the first round of bannings or second round?
I can't remember
I
correctly.
will have to think about that.
Well, yeah.
I think
anyway,
it was
but yeah,
second
I think
round,
I'd
but
like
yeah.
to see a return. I'd like to see a return of the Thresh and the
Yeah,
Normal
I
stuff.
mean, like-
Or even a Leona would have been perfectly fine.
But they did. I do think
What,
they still
Alistair?
won bot lane pretty hard. Like they were a long way
Well,
ahead of you.
no, you
But-
can't-
But they were up like 25 CS.
Yeah, but they just had
turret
no
lanes
kill
down.
pressure, and the rest of their team
like-
just weren't getting any momentum.
Well, that's the problem, right? It was the fact this Ari was kind of a bit middling, and this
Well-
Mordekaiser, like there was a couple team fights around like objectives where like it was a 3-for-1 and a 4-for-1, which meant
Yeah.
that suddenly like that was
so
what really
I-
snowballed.
I
it
think
when it
actually
played.
the larger narrative for me is that basically if sorry, man, just the SG SHG really
SoftBank.
just messes with them. So SoftBank Hawks, I feel like when they don't have pressure mid, they struggle.
Yeah.
We saw that in
Yeah.
their loss. Their loss when Ramune played Corki, which is a 3-item hyperscaling carry, don't get me wrong, but doesn't have pressure in lane.
True.
We saw the loss in these two games now when Syros had just a shove in mid laner, lots of team fight pressure, kind of just pushing Ramune against the Rumble. And in this game, we saw the matchup go against him in the skill matchup of LeBlanc and Ari. These are 3 games that they lost, and each time I think it's been Ramune on the back foot. So I think that they need to go towards the Lucian, go towards the lane dominant picks, try and get Ramune his mojo back, and we'll see where it goes next week, because obviously this is the last game we'll see from them this week. We'll see them next time.
Absolutely. With Burning Core, still another one to play for. They can actually join
Yeah.
SoftBank in that 3-2 bracket.
That's the one.
No, it'll be 3-3 bracket. 3-3, because they're currently 3-2. They need to play their 6th game. So can they join SoftBank in the 3-3 bracket, or is Sengoku gonna have something to say about it? We'll find out right after this break. Thank you very much.